The Python functions any and all might seem like a honey trap at first. It sounds nice till you uncover the truth. Not that it's hard per se, but when I first found out about it, I thought it would be easy to use. So whether you have recently found out about them or were confused like I was, I provided timestamps on screen and the video where I go over a small project using it for your help. So to start off, let's go over the definitions. The any function will return true if at least one value passed into it is true. The all function returns true if none of the values passed into it are false. So what do you think these two print statements might return? If you said false false, you'd be wrong. It's actually false true. That's because any returns true if there's at least one true value. And as the list is empty, it contains no true values. And all will return true if there are no false values. As the list is empty, it contains no false values. To show an actual example, here I have a for loop that checks if the numbers in it are even or odd. So for every number in the tuple numbers, if the remainder of n divided by 2 is not 0, return true. And if any does return true, meaning if any numbers are odd, print true. In this case, false is printed as all the numbers are even. For the next one, for every n in numbers, if the remainder of n divided by 2 is 0, return true. And if all instances return true, meaning if all numbers are even, print true. So hopefully you understand the basics of it now. So let's look at more complicated examples. Here we have a list of names. For every name in the list, if it starts with the letter A, return true. Now, in this situation, it isn't too useful. All it's doing is checking if at least one item in the list starts with A, and it confirms or denies it. But it's an introduction to checking values, which is something you might actually want to use this function for. Here we have a simple check function. It takes in a given value and returns true or false based on if the value is bigger than 5 or not. In the print statement, we have x, which iterates through the list starting from 1. We pass 1 into the check function, and as 1 is not bigger than 5, we get false. So we move on to 3, then again to 7 for the same reason. Here, 7 is bigger than 5, so we get a true statement and the process stops as there is at least one true. So 9 doesn't even get checked. Transforming this into something more realistic gives us a way to only allow those with proper clearance into accessing something. It's the same as the check function earlier. If you are trying to assign who gets permission to have access to something, you might want to use something like this. Though you might want to use names or another unique identifier, I just entered guest, viewer, editor and owner for simplicity's sakes. In the actual program, it would be something else. But the logic is the same. If the user is either an editor or an owner, it says true. That true statement can be attached to elsewhere in the program that allows access. Before I move on to combining both of the functions, I want to go over the all function again. Imagine if this was a login or an application form where you had to fill out all the boxes. Here you have 4 fields that should be filled out, but as you can see, one isn't. The all function here first strips the white space using the strip method for every item in the fields list. Then if it does not equal an empty value, it returns true. But if any returns false, then the whole variable turns into false, which you can attach in another part of the program. For a basic example of using both functions, I simulated a password checker. So the variable rules is a list that contains 4 functions that act as true or false. And if any are false, it gets rejected. So for more detail, if any letter in the password is uppercase, that item is turned to true. If any letter in the password is lowercase, that item is turned to true. If any letter in the password is a digit, that item is turned to true. And if password is bigger than or equal to 8, it's equal to true. If at any point one of these are false, the whole thing is rejected. If all are true, the password is accepted. Once again, if there's something I didn't explain well, or if you want me to go over something, feel free to leave a comment and I'll either respond to it or make a video. Until then, subscribe so you get notified when I upload a small project that uses these functions. Thank you.